Hi, friends. Welcome to our Wednesday LiveStream. We've been talking about what are the ways to acquire new tunes. And last week we talked about learning them by eye, which is by reading. Okay, you're going to be like that again. I'm just getting everything set up here. And this time we want to look at playing by eye. Or playing by ear. Last week was playing by eye. This time it's playing by ear. So I'm making sure we're in here in Facebook stream so I can greet everybody. Hello. So a lot of people, I mentioned this last week, I'll say it again today. A lot of people will describe themselves as non-musicians because they can't do one skill. I've had people tell me that they're not musicians because they can't play by ear. When if a piece of sheet music or a whole score is put in front of them, they can play that the way it's written. They can play it with interpretation. They can play it with dynamic and tempo changes, which is what musical notation is great about. It tells you all those things. Then there are people who, because they can't play from paper, say, I'm not a musician because all I can do. He says, but you can hear a song and play it. Yeah, but I'm not a real musician because a real musician can read it off of paper. It's like you're both musicians. You're both real musicians. You have a different skill set. And both of the skill sets are the kind that can be learned. Now, some people may have started learning earlier, but when I'm talking about learning by ear, the important thing to remember is we learned everything we know, language, music, everything for the first 5 years by ear. We couldn't read. When people sang Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are, and we matched them or we tried to match them, we were responding by ear. I get to see this all the time in my work with preschool children. Preschool children are pre-literate. They don't even have language for talking. But at the end of a song, when we're all in the room together singing and playing and dancing, at the end of a song, when there's some silence and the 6-week-old baby echoes the pitch that we just finished, they're doing it by ear. They may not sing la, but if they go ba, and we ended on the song ba, and they sing ba, it's always a win. It's a demonstration that they are using their inborn natural gifts to respond to the stimulus around them. Now, a lot of us have gone through a lot of things if we're adults, had experiences where people told us we couldn't sing or we had a bad ear or we feel bad about some experience we've had being musical. And so sometimes we have some impediments or speed bumps or hurdles or chains that are holding on to us to drag us back. And when I'm ear, James. What I want to do today is help highlight some clues that I use when trying to learn a tune, acquire. I hear something that gets my attention and learn it by ear. And the first thing is, if I'm tuned to a particular pitch right now, and I could change this, but if I hear a song and they sing on one note, let me think of one. The one note samba. Ba ba da ba ba ba. Ba ba da ba ba. It's got rhythm. Ba ba da ba ba ba. Ba ba da ba ba. The melody is staying on one note. That would be called monotone if it never changes. It means it's on one tone. So if we have a song that does that, then all I have to do is work on what is the rhythm. Now, not a lot of the songs that we play are like that, or maybe not a lot of the songs we want to play are like that. So if the notes in a song stay on the same pitch, I say they're chant or rap. Now that's not, I mean, obviously it's an oversimplification for both genres. But if songs stay the same, they're monotone. If they don't stay the same, they change. If they change, they go up or down. Okay? So this one changed. Up, down, down, up, down, down, or stay the same, down and stay the same. So we're kind of narrowing the choices as I listen to a tune. What's going on? And is it staying the same? Is it going up or down? Then the question is, by how far is it going up and down? This one was Neighbors. I played at the 4th fret. I went up to the 5th fret. Came back to the 4th fret, went down to the 3rd fret. And then this stayed within 3 notes. Now, there is a song that does that. Now there's a new thing happening. We stayed all within, I call those neighbors. Now I skipped some frets to do that. I went past the 6th fret, and if your instrument has a 6.5 fret, I went past that. So I had to do a jump. Or skip, I'm sorry, this is a skip. Because I'm skipping the one tone. Obviously there's an extra half step here, but I'm skipping. And I skip back down. It's a very linear song. Now I do a jump because I'm going. But all these are neighbors. Neighbor, 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 neighbor. Jump. Neighbor, 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 neighbor. I'm going to come back to what that is and why that's important when I'm trying to learn something by ear. Now there's a big jump again. Neighbor, 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 jump, jump. Right down the scale. Now we have a jump. Jump, jump, or skip, skip. Walk right down the scale. These tunes, I bet, are I'm going to bet these tunes are ones you know. And when I'm trying to learn by ear, the first thing I want to do is try to take what I already know and apply it to the instrument. So I learn the skills of the what I know in my head and what I know by ear, make the connection. So I'm not going to start by saying I can't learn a new song on a new instrument by ear. Yeah, I get that. Of course. But if I can take the songs I know and without any written down notation, any paper, no tablature, if I can find the song on my instrument, then I'm starting to know how my instrument works. Then I can begin to move towards songs that I want to play that I don't know, that I've heard, and I put them on the instrument. So sometimes when people, they want to critique themselves or assess their skills, they want to start from absolute zero. Okay, also sprach Zarathustra. I want to do that on the dulcimer. How does it go? I don't know, but I want to play it by ear. Okay, then my suggestion is go listen to that tune until you know it, until you can sing it, because that's learning by ear. And when you are learning by ear, you are taking in and creating a mental map of what this tune should sound like. So when you get your instrument, you can hear when you are not doing it the way you want to do it, as well as when it's going right. doing it wrong is actually a good, important step in the process toward playing it right. Now, I don't remember bum, 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 ba-da. That's it. And I don't even know if I have all those notes on the instrument, but that's one of the things I figure out. So I had no idea I was going to try to play that. Bum, 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 ba-da, da, da. Vangelis. So what I'm talking about here as I do this, that was Chariots of Fire, the theme from Chariots of Fire by Vangelis. I don't know why that came into my mind. But the other thing to note, well, before we get to it, I knew that song started at Do. Now, how did I know that? That's the next question you're saying. Okay, I might know how the song goes, but how do I find it on my instrument? I knew that one started at Do and ended at Do. I also know that most of the songs we're going to play are like that. There are a large subset that don't start at Do. They start on some other note. They often start at the third step of the scale, or Mi, or the fifth step of the scale, or Sol, but they tend to start on a scale tone. Now, here's A Christmas Carol, Joy to the World. That starts on Do, and it's actually one that just walks right down the scale. That first phrase, if you can find the scale you're in and walk right down the scale, Do, Ti, La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, Do. Now I have a clue for what's coming next. So what I'm always doing when I'm learning my ears, I'm paying attention. Does it stay the same or change? When it changes, does it go up or down? Does it go up or down by a step, which is what I call neighbors, by a skip, which is where you skip one note, or a jump where you skip more than one note? Then where does it start? Where does it end? And then understand the framework of songs typically they start on one of the chord tones of whatever key you're in. So if you do have the clue that the chord that goes with the beginning of the song is a D, I'm going to use D. This is a mountain dulcimer tuned to an open D. If I pay attention to the fact that the first chord is a D, then I'm going to guess that my first note is going to be a D at the bottom, a D at the top, A in the middle, F sharp in the middle, A below Do, or even F sharp below Do. But instead of having all the possible notes out of 7 steps in the scale before they repeat, I've got 3 different note names that are likely places to start. So now it's down to a fighting chance. Instead of having all the possibilities, the songs don't use all the notes. It's narrowed down. It's accessible. It's within my reach. And so I don't feel intimidated by it. I may feel frustrated by it. There are times when I can get most of the song. There's this one little piece I can't get. That's okay. I also assess how I'm doing in my learning, not as a zero-sum game where there's going to be a winner and a loser. I don't assess it like I had it perfect and then every mistake I made took points away. I assess it from, I didn't know this song at all. That's 0. If I can find the starting note, that gives me points. If I can find the ending note, that gives me points. If I can find the first part, that gives me points. And then every time that song comes around, whether it's on a recording, I'm playing with a group of friends, or I'm sitting by myself, every time I can get that part of the song, I play that part of the song, even if I can't get the other part of the song, because that builds up my capacity. It helps me feel more confident. And then I can gradually work my way through the song saying, okay, I started off, I didn't have any of it, but it turns out this. If I can get that part, that's the end of the A part, that's the end of the B part. No matter what else happens in the song, I'm always going to play the part I can get. So I'm looking for those things that repeat. That's the other thing. I find these patterns, and then are there any that repeat? Let's go Mary Had a Little Lamb again. The Mary Had a Little Lamb part. Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. A lot of those notes in there repeat. As long as I have the words to help me, I know how many times to play. Mary had a little. That's just like the beginning. So I have, if I would think of this as a rhyme scheme, it would be the A scheme, B, A, C. So if I'm mapping out the rhyme scheme of a poem, the first line is like this, the second line is different, the third line is the same as the first. So I'm always looking for things like that. Now there was this one other thing I said I would come back to. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. It jumps and did it again. This is 3 notes that are neighbors. Now I jump and do that neighbor thing again. That's called a sequence. A sequence is where you take this little pattern. This was 3 notes that are neighbors. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Slide and do the same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I can find those parts of a song, that is also easier. I don't think then F sharp, E, D, or 5, 4, 3. I don't think that. I think start at 5. Do it again. Start at 7. Do it twice. Now, that means I have the whole first part of the song now. 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice, see how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife. He cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight in your life? Now that is a 3-part thing that happens over. Something new. We have a transition note, and then we have 3 blind mice, like at the beginning. So when I learned this, I'm going to do that 3 times in the song. I'm going to do this 2 times in the song. First time, second, third time. Transition note, 1, 3. That first thing I did. So there's 3 phrases in this song. So the other thing I'm doing is grouping. I'm paying attention to what it does, up or down, steps, skips, jumps. Where does it start? And are there phrases that are repeated? Almost all the songs that we remember to sing have repeated phrases in them. There's some songs we can learn that don't have repeated phrases. And maybe that's why we are interested in them, because they're different from most songs that do have repeated phrases. That example was a very neighbor-like playing one. And I find that those are the songs that I can pick up the quickest. Now, what if a song has a melody that skips or jumps a lot? Soldier's Joy is one of those fiddle tunes. Maybe goes all the way back to Norway. There's stories with this that have gone on, but it's one of those very, very old fiddle tunes. It's a jumpy tune. So it doesn't stay the same. It goes down, but it goes down by skips. Skip, skip, skip. Or actually, that's a that's a jump. Skip, jump, skip, skip, jump. Because we're going from an A to an F sharp, and then no, I'm just looking at the extra fret. Skips. These are all skips. Jump, jump, skip, skip, neighbor, skip, skip, jump, jump, and then we have this pattern. All neighbors. So walk right down, skip, neighbor, 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 skip. Now that may be the bugaboo for you, or maybe the skipping part down here that's the bugaboo for you. But when I know that there's something that's tripping me up, that's the thing I'm going to do what we called 2 weeks ago, the woodshedding. The other thing is, it is possible to simplify the song. That's like the skeleton of the tune. Another strategy is to learn the skeleton. Where are the stopping places? Where are the landing places? Now the B part is very notey. But it's very neighbory. Skip. Sequence. Do it again. Walk right down, that's the scale. Skip. A bunch of skips. That's a sequence. Now, you also may have heard it as and that is the skeleton of the tune. So it can be fancied up, it can be boiled down to its simplest component parts. Either way are good ways to learn the song. If you can get the structure behind it, which is my other way to learn a song, is I'm listening. Oh, thanks, Anne. I hope you sleep well. Thanks for staying up. Wow. If we are hearing this song and we want to play it, let's do Whiskey Before Breakfast. So that's a song that's played in D. That's the way I learned it first. In the mountain dulcimer world, there's a lot of walking right up the scale. But the chords are D, G, and A. G, D, A, D, 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 G, D, A, D. And I can do that as a 1 Da 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 1111415 11111114151. And if I know what the chords are doing, I can predict what's coming next. That helps me as I try to learn the melody as well. Now, I picked this particular tune because in the B part, there's a surprise. Ba-da-ba-ba. We add in the E minor chord. And then the chords move fast. Now, I chose these particular voicings of the chord because we've got a D or a D, A, G, D, G, D, A, D. So the chords in the B part move very fast, but if I can play those, I'm also going to have a good sense of what's going on melodically. That's probably notier than you might know that song. That's the way that often gets written out or played. And we're just walking down the scale. It's like the joy to the world. Bum, 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 bum. So the other thing I know that's going to help me as I'm trying to learn a song is that most songs end at home. That's where, no matter where they start, they're going to end at home. So if I can know what that last chord is or that last bass note, that's going to help me start my whole thing at the beginning. So the first thing I do, and we didn't talk about this because that's the way we don't do it. But the first thing I do when I'm trying to learn a tune is I try to find out if I'm listening to a recording. I get this a lot from guitar players on jamplay.com. They'll say, "Can you help me with this tune?" So we'll find a YouTube video and we'll listen. And if they have, if it's just a recording with lyrics, then we'll listen. If they have some video of the players actually playing, we can find out, oh, they've retuned their guitar because they're playing in these places, but it doesn't sound the same. Or they're playing with a capo, or they're playing at this fret. So, okay, that gives me some clues. But what I do first is not try to play. I try to listen. I try to listen all the way through and see where the song is going. Can I predict what's coming next? Are there surprises? What's the song form? Is there an A and a B? Is there a verse and a chorus? Is there a verse, a pre-chorus and a chorus? Is there an intro? Is there an outro or a coda, a special ending? I'm paying attention to all those things. And then I'm trying to see which part of that song will be the one that lets me in. It's like going to a house and trying all the doors and seeing which one's unlocked to see. They wanted me to come over, but which one's unlocked. So that's what I do. I try to find where is home. I try to learn the chord structure. What is the structure, the overall framework of the melody of what's going on? Can I get the chord progression? What is happening with the melody? Is it staying the same? Is it going up or down? Is it doing it by neighbors or by skips or by jumps? Are there any repeated things in it that are sequences that I can then use and apply? And where do those repetitions happen? Map it out that way. Those are the tools that I use to learn a song by ear. Now, obviously, you may have that skill already, and you may have some other things. So if that's true, If you have some other skills that you use, please write to me and tell me. You can leave them here in the comments on Facebook. Apparently the chat for the live feed is not working the way it's supposed to. Let's see. Yep, I'm not seeing anything in there after I added mine. So I think that's about it. If you have questions or you have suggestions for other live feed topics, please let me know. You can write to me at steve@dulcimercrossing.com with your suggestions. There we go. And I love hearing from you. So thanks for being here today. And we'll see you next week, where we're going to talk about how do you learn songs by touching. Pulse notes. Oh, the subskeleton. That's a good way to talk about it. And then finally, we'll talk about using all those skills, the eyes, the ears, and the touch as a way of learning. Oh, I did want to call attention to something before we leave. Tomorrow, here, let me share my screen quickly. Tomorrow, we have Ken Klodner is going to be here to talk to us. He's going to be talking about secondary dominants and or first sevenths and all those kind of things, and how they move us through songs. Ken is an amazing fiddle and hammer dulcimer player, and he's going to be that focused using those instruments. But Aaron May and I will also be there to translate things to mountain dulcimer. But that's at 4 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. That's part of our Leap Forward series, and that's for premium members. Hi, Kathy. Thanks to be here. Glad you're here. Oh, Galax. We have Galax lessons. We have a noter. Actually, that class is full right now, but the noter class at the Quarantine Festival will be using some Galax. And I'm just finishing this week, personally, my 6-week summer session, and I'm preparing my fall session. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, I'll try to publicize it here so that you know. I've had some requests for noter lessons that would a whole class of noter style playing, and that would. So I'm thinking that's going to be in the fall. And I'm starting to say something because you're answering now. I'm responding. Oh, Ken, that's available for premium members of Dulcimer Crossing, and the archives are there as well. So that's what I have for us today. I look forward to seeing you next time, or at the Quarantine Festival, or in my next fall sessions. The Redwood Dulcimer Day is this weekend. Registration is already closed for that event, but I'm excited to be a part of that. This is the second time. It's been a mountain dulcimer festival for a long time. Last year was the first time we had hammer dulcimer classes, and this year Peter Tomerup and I are teaching hammer dulcimer there. So, aha, that will be. That won't be on the Facebook page, but that'll be on dulcimercrossing.com. There'll be a link for it. So good to have you all here. Thank you, Kathy and Andrew and James and Anne. I know you were staying up late in Australia. It's so exciting to have you join from across the continents. But be back here next week. And yes, I did get here at the right time today. Last week, I was so eager. I started at 7. And it just ended up being an archive. But we'll see you next time. Bye.